Begin by clicking Lesson 1 of the JavaScript CodeAcademy tutorial. On the left pane, it will show the instructions. Begin by typing console.log and the left parentheses. You'll notice it auto finishes the parentheses, and then inside type the number that it tells it. Keep in mind all statements end with a semicolon. Go ahead and repeat and do the next lesson and click Run after each lesson. You'll notice it will output out or print over in the right pane as long as your syntax has no parse errors. Now we're going to look at how to add comments. Read through the tutorial and it explains the difference between a single line and a multi-line comment. Keep in mind that even though it says single line comment, the width of the comment can span beyond one line, which may sound confusing. This is because if you don't press enter, it still recognizes the text as one big string and it's still not a multi-line comment. A multi-line comment has a different syntax. Whereas the single line comment is 2 forward slashes, the multi-line comment is 1 forward slash and an asterisk to open it. And then to close, it's an asterisk and another forward slash. The beauty of the multi-line comment is you can use it as a troubleshooting tool. You do this by, as you see here, commenting out large blocks of code. Now we're going to take a look at the various data types in JavaScript. This applies to most other programming languages or even Excel. Your most common type of data that you're going to begin working with is text type data. Keep in mind that it is case sensitive. That means a capital J and a lowercase j are different. If you look at the syntax of the word JavaScript, it's camel-cased because you have the word Java and script. Each of the words, even though it's one big word, it's 2 words combined into one word. And it's easier to read by capitalizing the first letter of each word. This is a very common convention in database design. Notice how that text type data is encapsulated within a single quote within the parentheses. This is because it's string type data. It's very different from your numeric type data, which doesn't need that. It is not encompassed, or enclosed rather, within a pair of single quotes. Next we want to type the string woohoo exclamation point, I love to code exclamation point, the pound sign, and the word CodeAcademy. You may want to just copy and paste this over from the instructions pane on the left side, or type it out. If you choose to type it out, you have to get every single character exactly perfect or it will not let you progress to the next lesson. Keep in mind, punctuation, spaces, and capitalization all apply here. Finally, you can actually do mixed numbers or integers, as you see here. We just add a decimal point, and the JavaScript program will be smart enough to recognize that it's not just a regular whole number. You can actually use JavaScript as a giant calculator. We're going to use the same console.log method we've been using. This time, we're going to, in the parentheses, type your age and then add 3.15. So as you see, inside the console log, I'm typing 30 plus 3.15 and then running the application, and over there to the right, it prints out the total of those two numbers. Now we're going to use JavaScript to perform basic subtraction. The instructions want us to take the current year and subtract the year 1969. As you see in the console, it prints out that number. Make sure to end all of your statements with a semicolon. As you can see, we're now going to do some division. The operator for division is the forward slash. Finally, we're going to do a multiplication problem. So in the instructions, figure out what numbers it wants you to multiply, and then write a new console.log statement. And within the parentheses, you're going to use the asterisk symbol, which on most keyboards, if you hold down Shift and press the number 8, it will put the asterisk symbol. Run that program and all of the calculations. This is where it begins to get tricky. We're going to join together 2 literal statements within one method. So up until this point, we've been encapsulating a series of words separated by the space character within one pair of single quotes. We're going to do it way differently now. Let's check it out. So as you can see, we have 2 words, each within their own pair of single quotes, and we're using the plus sign as the concatenate operator to join them together into one literal string. But Do you notice how the space is not there? So we have to literally program in that space. The idea is whatever is within those pairs of single quotes will print out whatever it is. It could be 10 spaces, it could be the letter D 30 times. Whatever is there, it will output over and over and over again. And it's the only way to make spaces appear in a program. So now we're going to use this dot operator to do advanced calculations on the string method. So we can do a count, which counts the number of characters that a specific string has, and we can even do trim, which gets rid of excessive space on either edge of the string. All right, now we're going to look at some of the built-in math functions, such as random. It can be used to do all sorts of complex algorithms and calculations. So the syntax is probably familiar by now. We have the console.log to output text or numeric data, and then inside that we can have either literals, or in this case we're going to do the math object, and then we're going to run its random function and basically times that number by 100. All right, now in the instructions, we're going to do yet another math method called floor. And what that does is it just rounds whatever number you have into a whole number. So in this case, we're going to actually put the floor method parentheses, and we're going to put the math.random parentheses inside of the floor parentheses, and that's called nesting. All right, so as you can see here, first thing I'm going to do is kind of fix up my spacing. A good best practice is to indent each object or each method one tab in. That way it's kind of like a staircase scaffolded design approach. It just makes it easier to read once you get really complex functions and algorithms. So we did have 82 point and then a bunch of numbers after the decimal, but now you can see it's generating a new random number and it's making it a whole number and rounding it to 86. So the next method we're going to use is called ceil. And as you can see, it calculates the smallest number greater than or equal to another number. So go ahead by writing a math object, use the dot operator to call its ceil method. Make sure it's E before the I, just like the word ceiling. And make sure that you're using the correct number that the instructions mention. Right here I type it wrong, but you do want to type 43.8. So I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and run the program, and something went wrong. So as a programmer, you're going to have to just get used to programs not working exactly as expected, and you might have to go back and troubleshoot and investigate why. In this case, it looks like I didn't print out the console again, so make sure that you keep the first set of code in its own little block, and then we'll do a second print statement for this new math object that calls the ceiling method. So again, it goes from 43.8 and then it rounds it to 44. So we have one more lesson to do. We're going to run the math objects is integer method. So if you recall, an integer is a whole number, and then you have mixed numbers, which could be something like 1.5. Yeah, so this one's pretty simple. We're just going to do another console.log, and this is just like the string, the quicker syntax rather. You don't have to create a whole object. You can see we just say, is this number a integer, yes or no? And it outputs true or false. Yeah, at this point, that's all of lesson one of the Code Academy. Next, we're going to look at how to do variables and more advanced objects and more advanced algorithms. So stay tuned. Good job on getting through lesson one, and it gets more complicated but more interesting from here. Keep up the good work. And if you want to start, go ahead and you can try to do it on your own, or I'll make another tutorial to show you the next steps.